Hi guys, this is Mrs. Gassler, and in this video we're going to talk about calculations involving pH and pOH. When we're dealing with acids and bases, sometimes we know some information and we need to know the other piece, so we're going to talk about that. Now, you guys know how much I love charts. We're going to make a chart, okay? So feel free to pause as you need to so that you can get this written down. I'm going to try and make sure I don't run off the page here. So there's 4 things that we calculate here: pH and pOH, which we've talked about how those are related already. In fact, we can go ahead and write that down now. Remember, when you add those together, you get 14. So if you have pH and you want pOH, you would just take 14 minus your pH. Okay, that's an equal sign. If you wanted to go the other way, you would, to find the pH, you would just take 14 minus the pOH. That is probably the easiest of all of these calculations, although the rest aren't all that difficult either, provided you have a calculator, okay? Unfortunately, I'd love to teach you how to do these without a calculator, but it's just not possible. It doesn't work that way, okay? We're going to use a special button on your calculator. The pH is related to the H plus concentration, that hydronium, okay? So if you read in a problem hydronium concentration, it's talking about this H plus, or if you see the concentration of hydrogen, or hydrogen concentration, hydrogen ion concentration, either one of those is going to be the same thing here. That's what we're talking about when we say H plus. The other concentration, the one that goes with the pOH, is the concentration of the hydroxide ion. So that one's called the hydroxide ion concentration, or the concentration of the hydroxide. When you write it this way, you can leave off the word concentration, because that's literally what that means. So you might see it in a problem, what is this of something, you know, and that's all it will say. Okay, so let's talk about the general way. So the pH scale is actually a logarithmic scale, which means that we're going to be using the log function on your calculator, which you may have never heard of yet, but it's a button on your calculator. What it does is it relates exponents in a kind of backwards way. It's a way to undo exponents when your base is, when you know the exponent but not the base, or you know the base but not the exponent, kind of thing. So so that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to go down first. It's the same going down from the H plus to the pH. So if you can remember that these letters go together and these letters go together, this process is identical, okay? And to find the pH, what you're going to do is you're going to type in negative. You're going to push a button that says log, you know, like a big stick. And then you're going to type in the concentration of your hydronium or your hydrogen ions. And then you're going to hit enter on your calculator and have your answer, okay? It's the same thing to get to pOH here. To get your pOH, you're going to take negative log of that OH concentration, okay? I'll show you some examples of what that looks like, but I'll just keep this nearby. If you want to go backwards, okay, so what this one is kind of doing is it's kind of figuring out what the exponent would be to get you, what would your exponent be to be able to get you that, that concentration. So what we're doing to go the other way is we're going to undo that. And this is where it gets a little weird. If you want to find the H concentration and what you have is the pH, you take 10 and you use that little caret button on your calculator and you type in a negative and the pH. So you're taking it to the exponent of that pH. And it works the same way for the hydroxide concentration. You'd take 10 and then negative pOH, okay? Now, if you needed to get from one corner to the other, you could go through the pH. That's what I tend to do because I find that a little bit easier. If you wanted to go across this top, you could. I don't think there are any questions like that on the quiz or on the homework, but the way these are related is that when you multiply them together, so the OH concentration times the H concentration should be 1 times 10 to the minus 14. So you can just take 1 times 10 to the minus 14 and divide the other one. So that's the relationship there, but I'm gonna put that in kind of parentheses as like an aside. I tend to go this way, okay, around this little U shape that I've got here. Okay, so those are the formulas. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through some examples, but there's a lot of examples, and so you can stop whenever you're ready to stop, okay? All right, so example 1 has us going from pH to pOH. So here's our example. It says, what is the pH of a solution with an H plus of 2.6 times 10 to the minus 8 molar, okay? So what we want is the pH, and what we have is the H concentration. So we're going to be following this arrow right here. So I'm going to write that down. pH equals negative log of my concentration, like that, okay? So now I'm just going to plug things in. What I'm going to be plugging into my calculator is this 2.6 times 10 to the minus 8 molar. And then when I plug this into my calculator, let me show you where these buttons are. Oh, good, you can see this pretty well. Okay, I know you can't see the parentheses, and there's the caret right there, but this is the log button right here. The L is a little, or the O is a little worn. This is an old calculator, okay? So I'm going to hit negative, and then I'm going to hit log, and then I'm going to type in 2.6. Wait. Okay, there's two ways you can do this. We'll go with the easy way first. There's a button on your calculator that you can't see on mine because I use it a lot. It says EE, okay? Let me teach you about this EE button. EE replaces times 10 and caret in your calculator. So if you hit the EE button, don't hit times 10 and don't use the caret, just type in the exponent. So for example, I would type in 2.6 and then, whoops, this EE button, and it puts a little E there. And then I type in the exponent, which was negative 8. When I do this, my calculator treats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those 6 characters as one number, and it doesn't split it up or do anything funky to it. So when I hit enter, I get the right answer, minus a line because my calculator's old. If I want to type in the times 10 stuff, whoops, minus log, then I have to hit parentheses, and then I have to do 2.6 times 10 caret minus 8. If you don't put this in parentheses, it's going to do the log first, and then it's going to multiply by 10 to the minus 8, which you know, it happens, but that's not going to get you the right answer. But this should give me the same answer, and see how those numbers are the same. So 7.58 is my answer. Do I need to round? 8.5? Yeah, I do. 759. That is my pH. Now pH doesn't have a unit, so I just leave it as 7.59. Okay, so that's your first example. For our second example, we're going to go from OH. See, we have the OH concentration. Now we want the pOH. Now remember, it's the same calculation. I just have to type or add an O into my little symbols here, right? OH, and it's a minus instead. So I'm going to type in negative log, and then I'm going to put in that 3.2 times 10 to the minus 12. And so when I type that into my calculator, negative log, I'm going to do 3.2 times 10 to the minus 12. I prefer the E button because I'm lazy and I don't like pushing buttons on my calculator. But if you do not have the E button, then you don't have a choice. Some of the scientific calculators, you can do it differently. 3.2 times 10 to the negative 12. Okay, just make sure you use the negative button appropriately. And I get 11.49. So this one has a pH of 11.49. Okay. Again, these problems don't take long. You just have to remember where the numbers go and what you're doing. Okay. Here's a nice easy one. This one says we have a solution. It has a pH of 10.4. The first question says, is it an acid or a base? If the pH is 10.4, is it an acid or a base? So remember, 7 is neutral. Higher numbers are bases and lower numbers are acids. So this one is a base. And we want to know what the pOH is. So this was the easy one. See, we've got the pH and we want the pOH. So this is what we're going to do. pOH is going to do 14 minus pH. So I'm going to do 14 minus 10.4. You might even be able to do that in your head, but just to make sure, 10.4, it's going to 0.6, 3.6. 3.6 is my pOH. Those are the easy ones. We're just going back and forth. 14 minus, you get the other one. Those are pretty easy to do. Okay. Our next one is, now we're going to do a little bit harder. So we're going to start with the OH, and we want the pH. So we have OH and we want pH, which means we've got to do two things. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the pOH. pOH is going to be negative log of that concentration of OH. And so I'm going to type in my calculator negative log of 6.2 times 10 to the minus third. negative log of 6.2 times 10 to the minus 3. And I get 2.207, which I'm not gonna write all that out. Oops, I forgot the 207, blah, blah, blah. Okay, to find the pH, I'm going to do 14 minus that 2.207. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm going to make use of the answer button because I don't want to type that whole thing in. So I'm going to do 14 minus, and then on most calculators, you hit second and then the little negative button and the answer comes up. My calculator's special and I can put it right there. But that's it. And then I put in 11.79. That is my pOH. Okay. Oh, I'll put that where you can't see it. So again, it's just an extra little step. This is a pretty easy calculation. This is a pretty easy calculation. You just have to do two of them there. Okay. So let's do one going the other way. This one has the H concentration, and now we want the pOH. It's identical, right? So we're going to find our pH by doing negative log of that H concentration. So I'm going to do negative log of 9.1 times 10 to the minus 11. And when I plug that into my calculator, negative log of 9.1 times 10 to the minus 11. Okay, I get 10.04 and some other numbers. And so to find my pOH, remember it's the difference between 14 and that. So 10.04. So I'm going to do 14 minus my answer, and I get 3.95. Okay, 959, that rounds up to 96. Okay, so there's my pOH. So again, these two, see how similar the process is? It's really just the same process. I just have an extra H there. Otherwise, the math is the same. So there's not actually two different things we're doing here. It just says two different sets of letters.